America is getting tough with Benjamin Netanyahu. Why do I say that? Because of what Antony Blinken has said. According to the U.S. Secretary of State, the U.S. may block more weapon systems to Israel if it goes ahead with a ground offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Not just that, Blinken emphasized on the quote-unquote horrible loss of life of innocent civilians. It is a horrible loss indeed. As per Gaza's health ministry, the death toll has now passed at least 35,000 Palestinians. 35,000. This is a serious humanitarian crisis. The Secretary of State also said that he was concerned that any further ground captured by Israel would create a vacuum that's likely to be filled by chaos, by anarchy, and ultimately by Hamas again. Now, before I go on, let me tell you why these statements are extremely significant. This is some of the strongest public criticism coming in from the U.S. government so far of Israel's Gaza assault. So America is getting tough with Israel, but the question is that enough? The thing is, Blinken's remarks do send out a strong message. The message is clear. America will not take lightly Israel's defiance over the Rafah offensive. But is this all that America can do at this point? And will this really deter Benjamin Netanyahu? On Friday, the Biden administration said that Israel's use of U.S.-provided weapons in Gaza likely violated international humanitarian law, but that wartime conditions prevented U.S. officials from determining that for certain in specific airstrikes. And that again was a sign of the U.S. hardening its stance towards Israel. But then the caveat that the administration was not able to link specific U.S. weapons to individual attacks by Israeli forces in Gaza could give the administration leeway in any future decision on whether to restrict provisions of offensive weapons to Israel. According to Blinken, Israel needs to have a clear, credible plan to protect civilians, which, according to him, they have not seen. He also, in fact, warned that Hamas was already seeing a resurgence due to the lack of a coherent, durable plan for Gaza. By the way, Biden on Saturday said that a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war would be possible, quote-unquote, tomorrow if Hamas gave up the hostages seized in its October 7 attack. And Hamas released a statement saying that the remarks by Biden were a setback to negotiations. Let me also tell you about what's happening on the ground. An explosion and several large plumes of smoke were seen rising over Gaza from southern Israel on Sunday as the Israeli military ordered the evacuation of civilians in the southern city of Rafah. Israel sent tanks into eastern Jabalia in the northern Gaza Strip after a night of heavy aerial and ground bombardments, killing 19 people and wounding dozens of others, as per the health officials. So the big question still remains. While America is getting tough with Benjamin Netanyahu, will that deter him? It is the 13th of May, and if you are a cocktail lover, here's a reason to say cheers and sip one perhaps, even on Monday, because it is World Cocktail Day, a celebration of the art of mixology. After all, cocktails are not merely beverages, they are expressions of craftsmanship and flavors. The roots of this day tracing back to 1806. That year, the Balance and Columbian Repository, an upstate New York newspaper, first coined the term cocktail. It described cocktail as a stimulating concoction comprising spirits, sugars, waters, and bitters. And where did the word come from? The Oxford English Dictionary tells us that the original use of cocktail was to describe a horse with a tail like a cock's. As in, it stays stuck up rather than hanging down. And this would happen when the racehorse was a mixed breed. And this sense of cocktail then came to mean a mixed or an adulterated drink. The drinks were initially inspired by British punches, which contained spirits, fruit juices, spices in big bowls, Then on, it has been a rather interesting journey. In the 1920s, during the era of prohibition in the US, illegal speakeasies proliferated. And what did these clandestine jazz venues serve? Solace and connection, and refuge from alcohol restrictions in the form of cocktails. The decade changed, and the 1930s witnessed the emergence of the Rainbow Room in New York. It was a luxurious club frequented by elite clientele eager to indulge in post-prohibition cocktails. And since then, the club has closed and reopened. It has been restructured and renovated. But it was its revival in 1987 by Dale DeGroff that revitalized interest in classic cocktails and inspired a modern renaissance in mixology. The movement soon spread across the world. It has changed and evolved, become more refined. Today, bartenders, mixologists, cocktail enthusiasts focus on quality ingredients, precise techniques, also creative presentation. They use everything from exotic fruits, herbs, to artisanal spirits and liqueurs to create complex and flavorful cocktails. You see, cocktails have become an expression of art, something to bond over, a vital part of social gatherings, be it a business meeting or a get-together. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.